You were never broken, only holding too much. Begin by allowing your body to settle exactly where it is, without adjusting, without correcting, without trying to improve the moment in any way. Because there is nothing wrong with this moment and nothing missing from you within it. Let the surface beneath you become noticeable, the quiet pressure supporting your weight, reminding your body that it does not need to hold itself up alone anymore. Notice how the breath continues all by itself, rising and falling without instruction. And let that be the first reminder that your system already knows how to sustain you. You may sense that much of your life has been spent managing, fixing, bracing, compensating, or adapting. And yet, beneath all of that effort, there has always been a deeper layer of you that was intact, steady, and whole, even while carrying more than was ever meant to be carried. As you listen now, allow the idea to land gently that nothing within you needs to be repaired, because nothing was ever broken, only overwhelmed, overextended, and asked to contain experiences without enough support. Feel how different that realization is in the body when the frame shifts from "something is wrong with me" to "something happened to me while I was still whole." Let that distinction settle into your nervous system like a soft recalibration. Wholeness is not something you have to rebuild. It is something you allow to reemerge when the weight begins to release. Notice any areas of your body that have been holding tension as a form of identity, as if bracing became part of who you are. Perhaps the shoulders learned to stay lifted, the jaw learned to stay tight, the belly learned to stay guarded. These were not flaws, they were intelligent responses. And now, as you sit here safe enough to listen, the body can begin to update its sense of self from "I must hold" to "I am held." There is a subtle but profound difference between those two states. As the breath deepens naturally, imagine it moving not just through the lungs, but through the entire shape of you, spreading a quiet permission for the body to reorganize itself without effort. You may notice that when the body no longer has to defend, identity begins to soften. Many people confuse their coping mechanisms with who they are, believing that vigilance, control, emotional distance, or constant striving are personality traits rather than survival strategies. In this moment, you are invited to experience yourself beneath those strategies, not by removing them forcefully, but by allowing them to rest. Let the breath travel down the spine, sending a message to the nervous system that there is time now, that urgency is no longer required. Wholeness feels different from control. Control is tight and effortful. Wholeness is spacious and stable. As you continue listening, notice the quiet center within you that has always remained unchanged by events, opinions, or outcomes. This center does not need to be confident or certain. It only needs to be present. Stability does not mean the absence of emotion. It means the capacity to remain intact while emotions move through. Feel how the body responds when it no longer has to choose between feeling and functioning. You are allowed to do both. You may begin to sense that healing is not about becoming a new person, but about allowing yourself to inhabit the person you already are, fully and without fragmentation. When experiences were too much, Parts of you may have learned to separate, to compartmentalize, to hold pieces of yourself at a distance for protection. That was wisdom at the time. Now, gently, without forcing integration, you can allow those parts to feel welcomed back into the whole. Imagine your body as a container that no longer has to be rigid to stay intact. It can be flexible, responsive, and still stable. Stability does not come from rigidity, it comes from coherence. As breath, sensation, and awareness begin to align, the nervous system experiences a sense of internal consistency, a feeling that everything belongs. You may notice subtle sensations of warmth, heaviness, or soft expansion as the body begins to trust this state. Trust does not arrive as a declaration. It arrives as a feeling of not needing to prepare for impact. Allow your awareness to rest in the center of the chest, not searching for emotion, not analyzing, simply noticing presence. This is not where you store pain. This is where integration happens. Here, experiences can exist without defining you. Thoughts can arise without hijacking you. Feelings can pass without destabilizing you. This is inner stability, not as a concept, but as a lived bodily state. You may realize that much of the exhaustion you have felt was not from the experiences themselves, but from the effort of holding yourself together while navigating them. As that effort decreases, energy returns naturally. Let the body learn that rest and wholeness are compatible. You do not have to collapse to let go. You do not have to fall apart to heal. Healing can be quiet, subtle, and deeply respectful of your system's intelligence. As the breath continues, imagine it weaving together any places inside that once felt separate, not by merging them forcefully, but by allowing a sense of communication to flow between them. Nothing is pushed out. Nothing is excluded. Wholeness includes everything, even the parts that once felt difficult to accept. Notice how the nervous system responds when exclusion ends. There is relief in no longer needing to reject any part of yourself. Inner stability grows when self-trust replaces self-monitoring. You do not need to watch yourself so closely anymore. You do not need to predict every outcome. You can feel and still remain grounded. As you sit with this, allow the body to experience what it is like to be a home rather than a battleground. The body was never meant to be a place of constant management. It was meant to be a place of inhabitation. Let yourself inhabit yourself now. Feel the legs, the arms, the torso, the head, all belonging to the same unified experience. This is not an achievement, it is a return. Wholeness does not announce itself loudly. It arrives as quiet steadiness. As you continue to listen, notice how the mind becomes less interested in defining, labeling, or measuring progress. When integration happens, there is less to prove. You may feel a subtle confidence that does not rely on performance or reassurance. This confidence comes from coherence. It comes from knowing, at a body level, that you can be with yourself, that you can contain experience without losing yourself, that you can move through life without abandoning your internal center. As the nervous system absorbs this experience, it begins to recognize it as familiar, not new. Wholeness was always the baseline before overload disrupted access to it. Now, access is returning. Allow the breath to slow naturally, signaling to the system that this state is safe enough to stay in. You may notice that emotions feel less threatening when they are no longer interpreted as evidence of instability. They become information, movement, expression, not identity. Identity rests deeper than emotion. Identity rests in presence. Let that understanding settle into the body, not as a thought, but as a felt sense. You are not defined by what you feel, what you think, or what has happened. You are defined by your capacity to remain present with all of it. That capacity has always been here. As this session continues, let the body register that it does not need to fragment to cope. It can remain whole and responsive. There is strength in this softness. There is resilience in this openness. You are allowed to feel grounded without being guarded. You are allowed to be open without being overwhelmed. As the nervous system integrates this experience, it begins to reorganize around stability rather than defense. And that reorganization happens naturally, without effort, without force, simply through repeated experiences of safety and coherence like this one. Take a moment to notice the quiet confidence that emerges when the body feels whole. This is not a high or an emotional peak. It is steadiness. It is the sense of being at home inside yourself. Let this feeling anchor gently, knowing it will continue to strengthen each time you return to presence, each time you choose integration over self-criticism, each time you allow yourself to be whole without conditions. And as you continue forward from this moment, your system carries with it the knowing that wholeness is not something you earn, fix, or build. It is something you remember, something you allow, something you live from.